Hello, hello. Sorry about the lack of music. Also, hello, Uncle Scientist with the raiding party of 24. I'm sorry I wasn't here for that. And I'm sorry that the music wasn't on. Apparently, my new monitor that I has audio capabilities, and the computer decides when I turn it on to go use that one instead, and I'm not monitoring that output. AbdocX, hello. Wait, no, you don't deserve a hello. You deserve something else. All right. So, let's see. Epic Scientist, thank you once again for the raid. Raiders, welcome. We are just getting started here, obviously. Green Blade, hello. And then Epic. Awesome to see you all here this morning. So, yesterday on Sunday, I sort of like finished going through and figuring out HTTP requests with you. And with that, I'm pretty confident now that we could move forward and just do the start making the course. Of course, a little bit of planning of like which videos to make and which order to do them in, but besides that, I think we're ready to get going. KO2 fan, good morning, hello. So, what is that going to be like? What I plan on doing is building that out in the README. Now I'm in this use solution branch. I plan on sort of like resetting this later. Probably keeping the commits and all that stuff there in case anybody wants to go and see like the experimentations that I did. I don't really mind about that. Oh, you know what? The README isn't here because it always opens this up to someplace else. I need to go down here. Then I can open up the README. Okay, so basically I have this really rough plan of like what we're gonna do, and I kind of want to like rebuild this now, maybe even with a table. That might be good too. I always forget how to do a table in Markdown. I remember if I need like the top, and then each cell gets its own little box. So if I do like the video, it's like the video / lesson title, and then I would want the probably like the URL where to find the video. Let's do that. So if I do use, then for example, we would have like a trailer. We don't have a URL yet, so we just keep that in there. Ooh, I don't think it now stays like this. I think these are the headers. Can I get a preview? That is not a table. Okay. See, maybe not you. Or you. Now, okay, fine, I'll go look it up. Let's see. Oh, I don't have... So the way these lessons are going to work is we're going to figure out what exactly we're going to be building, like what the titles of the videos are going to be. We're going to figure out the order that they're going to go in, and then we're going to start doing it. Thank you, Stacking, and also good morning. Something else that's important. Oh, I put dashes in between each of the things. That's what it is. Okay. I like had pieces of it, but not exactly. Okay, so it's something like this. There we go. Now we see a table here. Thank you, Stacking. So yeah, last time, okay, history of like the courses that I made. The first course that I made is also the most popular. It's the introduction to building an ECS with Rust, entity component system for like game development type stuff. That one, people are still taking that one, and I've been letting me know that they do enjoy that. The second one I created is significantly less popular. It's the sort of like using DigitalOcean, like deploying a blog that we wrote in Rust to DigitalOcean, but it's not really a Rust course. And so this third one is going to be a part of like, I guess, a Rebuild It in Rust series, and it's going to be Introduction to Yew.rs. So basically how to rebuild a front end in Yew instead of using something like Vue or React or whatever. And we do have a front end that's already been built in Vue, so there's something to like be able to compare it against. For none of those courses that I use slides. It was just basically Markdown, taking a look at that, and then just going straight into the code, or maybe even like starting with that. I think I do have thumbnails on them to make them look a little bit more professional, but yeah, I don't use slides in that. I guess that's one question for all of you. What do you think? Should I have slides, or should I skip them? Are we dropping frames today? I have dropped 0 frames. So no frames have been dropped on my side. Yeah, that's too bad. Hopefully your internet clears up. Okay, so we have like the obvious things, like trailer, like introduction to the course. Let's see. Then I don't think I can do like headers in the middle, right? Like I can't do like another. No. Okay, not too surprising. We'll probably have like a section. So for example, in the trailer, it's no section really. Introduction to the course is going to be in the introduction section. Okay, so introduction to the course. There's always like, it's a good idea to put like a prerequisites. What you need to know to get the most of it. Let's see. Introduction to the course, prerequisites. I don't know if it's going to be like how to use the course, or if I want something else like I guess we'll just sort of like, I guess, setting up. So getting set up. Oh, I guess like that might be a section, getting set up. So we need to like set up Rust, set up VS Code, and do all that fun stuff. That may be another section. So let's see. Setting up Rust. After setting up Rust, we need to set up VS Code. Now, of course, to take this course, you don't need to use VS Code. But if you're like a, I think a lot of web developers these days are using it. I am interested in switching over to Vim, at least to just sort of like see the hype with NeoVim and Rust, because I know a lot of streamers are using it. But I'm maybe sometime in the future we'll do that. Okay, once we've set up VS Code, we probably want to download and set up the repository, which means we need Docker. So setting up Docker. If we're setting up Docker, then probably like installing Docker, and then basically a really quick crash course on Docker and Docker Compose. This isn't really a course about Docker, but it's more of like, hey, how can you use Docker to like play around with stuff? Basically like a 5-minute intro to Docker. Once we have that, we can download and get the repo started. They'll probably fork the repo, get that downloaded, get like a Docker Compose going, set up a branch for working. Or you can big brain and clone the repo in Docker. Oh yeah, we could. You can set up Docker, and then inside of Docker you can Dockerize it too. One of the things I was thinking of is, because this is like a website and because I have Docker on it, it would be possible to do everything in a VM. So if you only have if you have access to a Linux system, it doesn't have to be a very good one. You could use a Raspberry Pi. You could use a free tier AWS EC2 instance, a DigitalOcean instance, Linode, like any of those. This would you could do the work on this course with that. It wouldn't be as nice, but it would be possible. I was thinking about like that the other day, that I could create like an image on like those various stores, because I think all of those except maybe DigitalOcean, maybe Raspberry Pi, have like a store where you can get images from, and then I can like deploy one where it's like, oh, just set this up. Here you go. Everything's in there that you need. Just go in to this directory and press, just type like Docker compose up. Okay, setting up the course repo. I think that's that. So next, once we've done the setup and we're ready to go, it's time for us like to do the hello world in hello world. Okay, we'll do hello world in Yew, but I guess we start first with like just hello world in Rust. Maybe I'll call it like first steps. Then hello world in Yew. Do you think absolutely nobody would watch this if I start doing if I just put tons of bad puns in here? Like hello world to you. Yeah, bad idea. Let's see. You can do it. If we figure it out, we can do like every single section. Maybe we can make a bad pun. I don't know. I don't know if I have that many bad puns in me. Okay, so hello world in Rust, hello world in Yew. Also with first steps, I want to like then start breaking it out because this is all going to be in the main RS file. I want to now start breaking this out into the lib. So, migrating, I guess sort of like changing it to more of a library. Well, no, we're still going to use the main. I guess like moving to a better hello world architecture. My capitalizations is not consistent. And then, okay, so that means we've moved everything from like main.rs to live.rs. But it's still like a hello world. Okay, we make a separate component now. I guess we make the folder structure. So this will include the folder structure. So maybe like a slight description, a very short description. Introduction to the core. I mean, I think these should be obvious. Like, hey, this is what the course is. Okay, this one is what I believe you need to know. You need to know or have to get the most out this course. Okay, setting up Rust. We're installing Rust on our computers. Have I not pushed all the changes to GitHub? Wait. Oh, wait. Yes, I thought I did. This is showing that I have. It might be because I'm in that branch. So I go to this. Yeah, okay. You have to be in the use solution branch to actually see those changes, which seems a little bit odd. Like you would think that it would show the last change. This one's showing 21 days ago. But use solution branch is showing 19 hours ago. Okay, we're installing Rust. I should also install, okay, so installing Rust and some nice cargo installing Rust and some nice cargo packages. Like, for example, the cargo edit. I don't think we need to install Clippy anymore. That comes by default. Let's see. Using yes code for this course. So we'll be, let's set it up for Rust Dev. 6 days ago for, let's see, what is that? Front-end Rust U source components. So front-end Rust U source components 6 days ago. But yeah, I see like store 19 hours ago. Oh, you know why? Because I haven't touched the components in that long. Yesterday, I was working almost completely in views and the store. Mostly the views, specifically in this login. I think that's what it is I wasn't touching components. Okay, installing Docker. So Docker won't be necessary for this course, but it will be very helpful. You always figured the top bar at the newest commit. You know, I just sort of gave up on GitHub giving me good information about that a long time ago. It's never really been that great. Okay, so we're using VS Code for this course, installing Docker, a backend has already, I guess, like a server and database has been created to make help us focus on front and dev, and use Docker to set that up easily. Introduction to Docker. So a crash course, very short course on using Docker and Docker Compose. Danny, hello. You get the old setup back? Yes, so this weekend I purchased a new monitor so I can actually stream on this computer again. Now maybe sometime I will switch over and use like a capture card, which I need to test because I have that meetup coming up next month, and I want to I need to test the capture card. So I might be doing some like streams here and there, just to make sure I've got all that stuff and everything works. But for the meantime, we're doing this stuff. I'll probably go back and forth depending upon whether or not I feel like using a Mac or a Windows for whatever project we're working on. And I have to decide, do I want to use a Windows computer or a Mac for like this? I kind of, this might be a little bit weird. I kind of feel like using a Mac because, is it true more web devs are on Mac these days? Kind of feels like it. And that might make people a little bit more comfortable. I don't know. Setting up the course repo. Oh, right. So we want to, don't be the bandwagon. Don't do it. I'm sorry. I am the bandwagon. No, well, I mean, truth be told, like I'm always been like a Mac person, or at least I've been a Mac person since I was a sysadmin doing that stuff for a really long time. So like, you know, I own a Mac, I use it. It seems more and more that Apple dominates. Well, I'm hoping that like Windows can come back with some stuff. The terminal being much nicer is a huge step in the right direction. Windows subsystem for Linux is doing much better. When I updated my Windows subsystem for Linux, it like crashed during the update to WSL2, and so I lost all of my well, it crashed and corrupted a bunch of them, and that sucked. I had to like start it over. I have a Linux system, but it's got some bad hardware in it, so I need to fix that just to use that system again. I could install a VM. Well, I have a VM on this computer. We can just use that and pretend that we're on a Linux system the entire time. That also would work. It's too bad that Docker doesn't easily work on Windows subsystem for Linux. That would be amazing. If someone made a usable Linux system, you would glad to make the switch. So I've heard really good things from Pop OS, which is System 76's Linux. I've never used it myself. It's based on Unity, Udemy. Wait, why is my brain totally like screwing up that operating system? It's like use something. Like I use it in my terminal. Ubuntu. Okay. I had the U. Yeah, it's based on Ubuntu. Okay. I'm going on speakers while you clean up a bit and finally adult. I feel like that sometimes. Broken Robot, thank you. Yes, Ubuntu. I do not know why my brain just suddenly decided to turn off and forget that Ubuntu was the name of it. My brain was going into Unity. I'm like, Unity's like a game engine, not a operating system. Kali Linux. I have not used Kali Linux. I've obviously heard of it, but and not anything more than that. Brain fart mode indeed. Okay, so setting up the course repo, this is going to be like getting the backend up and running and exploring the API. Hello World and Rust. Okay, so finally we're on to first steps. So this is our first Rust application. I mean, I'm used to calling it, we call it program or app. Let's call it program. We're not going to an app store. It's not an app. Unity was the DE for Ubuntu for a long time. Oh, really? It's a penetration testing OS for the most part. Oh, for Kali. Using it legally, of course. Yeah, no, there's a lot of those tools and a lot of those systems in Linux. They're pretty good. I used to use some of them when I was a sysadmin, mostly for like monitoring network traffic for like debugging purposes. They can be really good. Like Wireshark, best. Like, well, okay. At the time I was doing it, Wireshark was best in class. I don't know if it still is anymore. I've not had to like do that kind of work in a long time. Oh, so it was Unity was the user interface for Ubuntu. Okay, that was back when they were making their own. That was before they were using GNOME or GNOME or however you pronounce it. Okay, so hello world and you. Okay, so now that we have a working Rust program, let's create our first Yew.rs program. And then we should having everything in main.rs isn't ideal. Let's set up a basic architecture that will it'll work with us. Okay, now we're back down here. So we've now moved everything out to its own files and folders. We've created like a components folder. We've done all that stuff. I feel like that might be first steps, and then we have like introduction to components. We have the type rest, we've done all this stuff. I don't really think I need the counter example app. I think we're just gonna go straight to hello world. Okay, so then we can move on to CSS. Well, potentially. I do want to go CSS. We have CSS, or like I could maybe do like struct components. Like struct components versus functional components. Let's do struct components first. And I don't think there's really going to be that big of a difference. We'll do the functional components later because I like them more, and so we'll keep them at the end. Okay, so maybe like this is gonna be more of a deeper dive into struct components. So what can we do? We need properties. Okay, to set up properties. I don't know if I need like an introduction to struct components here. Let's see. Struct components are similar to class-based components in React or Vue. Oh, really? Even on new Yew.rs, they say Struct components aren't for new users and hid them. Interesting. I sort of moved away, like I wasn't doing them either. What really is sad though is and this is where like their documentation sort of has a little bit of trouble. Based upon what you're looking at, they show you stuff in Struct components, even if it's like other stuff. So for example, building a sample app, this is a Struct component. Their sample app is a Struct component. So we kind of have to, like, they're kind of asking you to get into it and then telling you don't do it. It doesn't feel right. Unless their definition of a Struct component and my definition are different. Oh, and next they fully removed all Struct components. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Very nice. Okay, so we'll start with functional components. So an introduction to, we'll do like Yew functional components. So Yew's functional components are similar to functional components in Vue or React. So basically just getting like the hello world set up inside of that. Which, I mean, we already have a hello world in there. So it's more of like just, hey, this is what all these things are doing behind the scenes. And we can even do, I don't know, I may not want to do a macro expand, just sort of like, or a cargo expand, just sort of show it. There's a lot of weird stuff in there. Okay, so if you know them, keep using them, but they're not teaching them to new users anymore. That's good to know. That sounds a little bit too bad for Yew.rs, which starts with use Struct components. Sounds like they're going to need to finish updating all their stuff, so that way they can have their functional component store. I kind of feel that properties might be good next, but CSS could also be good. Let's do CSS. Okay, so styling our like styling a component, styling our components. So we don't want our web app to look like it's from the 90s, let's add some CSS. So my plan with CSS is just to use the inline style. No, not the inline style. The same sort of like styling that we're using so far, which if we take a look at this, is this, oh, I don't have styling in this component, is like this style, where I have like CSS. Okay, so styling our components. But I guess we should probably show. Oh, you found the exact page. Okay, so on the concepts function components. Let's see, maybe in next. I see, okay. All right, got it. Let's see. Do I really need? I think I might not even want to call this like functional components. I might want to just call this like components. Then, and we'll just start with like, okay, introduction to Yew functional components. So like basically just creating one. What we might do is take the entire system that they created for us. I don't know. I have to decide whether or not I want like that hello world to be a functional component or not based upon the documentation that they have on their front page. Because I might do it as like a not functional component, but just say like, don't worry about this. We're going to be using a much nicer way, like right away. Okay, so styling our components. This might be like inline. Okay, so we have inline styles. So like just apply like a red to something. It's easy enough. But then we can do style sheet, creating a style sheet in Rust, or CSS in Rust is I guess what it's called. I may not need this like this part at all, because I may do that as part of setting up our hello world. Maybe we'll just do this one in functional. Let's create our, okay. Yeah, no, that's very true. That is very, very, very true. let's do this. I don't need you. Then in this case, instead of components, we're gonna jump into styling. Okay, so inline styles. I guess maybe part of it is the introduction to Stylist. So, introduction to Stylist. We will be using a library or a crate called Stylist to apply CSS to our components. Okay, so inline styles, it's going to be the first way, the first and simplest way of adding styles is to directly style the HTML. Then we can do CSS and Rust styling. We can also create full style sheets. So like style sheets that are scoped to each component. Similar to Vue. Separate CSS file. Don't have to give up our okay, so we don't have to give up our editors sort of like styling, like our editors helping with styling. You're gonna have to give up like helpful. I don't know what words to use here. Is something about like you have to give up our editors helping us with CSS. We can use a separate CSS file. And those would be 3 ways of applying CSS. Oh, you know what? There's a final one, which is the indexed HTML. So I guess like global CSS. So there are some CSS rules we want available for everything. That will go into our index.html. And I believe that's where I would put like the Meyer reset and also any fonts that we want to use. Okay, so separate. Then I believe that's done with styling. We've done our Hello World component, the different styling. Properties would be good too. So we should okay, properties would be next. So I don't know if there's too much to talk about that necessarily, like passing down information. I guess it would be like string. Okay, the advanced types might be interesting too. So passing properties into components. So we'll do properties, components that can't receive data are boring. Just that. Okay, so once we passing properties into components, like maybe passing a string or a number is one thing, but also important would be for us to pass in more advanced data types. So like an enum or just a full struct. So passing like enum properties or advanced properties. Enum and struct, or maybe enum properties. Sometimes we want components. We want property. We want more advanced properties. Basically, we want to let the type system really work with us. Like let's actually use all this stuff that we have access to. It doesn't need to always be strings. Okay, so callbacks are probably going to be a thing. We're probably going to want to do that too. So callbacks. We use callbacks so that we can communicate up to parent components. Then okay. Oh, options. Optional component. Optional properties. Let's see. Sometimes we don't always need a property. So having some of them optional can be helpful. Okay, so that's that. Let's see. We can do router, state management. We have those FTP requests. That's fun too. Oh, debugging. Debugging would be really helpful too. All right, let me clean this up a little bit. So I think this one is the, okay. We use you. Do any of you know if there's any extensions that just make this part really easy to like line it all up? I don't care about the other ones right now. I think the titles are the most important ones to have. Well, maybe the titles and like this other part. because as I can see right now, I kind of, oh, URL, I totally forgot about this one. Okay, and then I'll leave these like that. Okay, so we have router, we have state management. So at this point in time, we've gotten properties. Let's see, markdown table. This one? Yeah, Tuku Mill. Oh, that's nice. It keeps everything all lined up. Yeah, let's try it. Oh, nice. Okay, so if I do, oh, tab brings me all the way. Oh, and it adds a new one. Okay, nice. Okay, so we've got properties. I wonder if I want to do state management next. I guess like specifically I'm thinking state management as in like use state. And that's essentially going to be, and we got the callbacks already, so I can totally do that. So we can do the hooks. We can do the hooks. So what are my hooks list? I've only used a couple of them, but they're not. Let's see. Nope, function components. Redefine hooks. Okay, so we have like use state. Oh, interesting. Okay. So use state always triggers a re-render, huh? Whenever it changes, even if it changes to the same thing. Always triggers a re-render. Okay, so they have use state dependencies. I don't see that. They have use effects with dependencies. Is that next maybe? Which of course they don't have that same page. Oh, second from the last. Hold on, it took me away because I decided to click that button. Sure that's not use effect with dependencies? Oh yeah, okay, use effect. Okay, I was getting confused. I'm like, I don't see a use state. Okay, so basically, use state is really important. So use state, and this is gonna be hooks. So React style hooks exist in Yew.rs. This means you can set and use state in functional components. Now, I don't know if I need to do, like, for this course, go through all of these or just the ones that are important and have, like, the rest of them being like, hey, these other things exist, but you now have, like, the information to go and, like, learn them. Like, use ref. I don't know if I would use that. How often I would use that. Yeah, because like even if you change it, it's not going to trigger a re-render. And I would probably just use state. When conditionally rendering elements, you can use noderef in conjunction with use effect with dependencies, or deps, to perform actions each time an element is rendered and just before it's going to be removed from the DOM. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Even in React, you don't use more than state and effect. So I'm thinking use state and use effect. I don't even think use state equal. Used for hooking into the component's lifecycle, similar to rendered from the component trait. Use effect takes a function which is called after the render finishes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is the is that thing. Am I working today? I am working today. So I'm going to be ending the stream in like between 15 and 30 minutes. The input function has to return a closure. The destructor, which is called when the component is destroyed. The destructor can be used to clean up the effects introduced, and it can take ownership of values to delay dropping them. Yeah, so like normal use effect. The with depths is interesting, but I don't think it's necessary for the type of stuff we're going to be doing. Then use context. The use context one can be good. What would I do with it? We can use the context to create. Oh, to do the link, I think. To do the linkings. Yeah, okay, to have like a context associated with everything else. Okay, we'll do that one last here. So we have use state, we have use effect. So hooks. We can run code whenever the component has been loaded. No, thank you. And then use context. Hi. Use context, also a hood. hook, and so this one is going to allow us to what is it? Consume, like get access, essentially like its global state, access context state, without needing to like prop drill, like just code all the way through. That one will obviously also include like this context provider that we'll set up in like the top level for that. No, I don't think I need to use custom hooks or go into that. This is going to be an introductory course, so I don't really think it's necessary to go into like all of this stuff too. We are going to be using a custom hook, but it's just not going to be ours. That's going to be the Atom one. Okay, so now that we have that, we want a router. Okay, so Yew.rs, maybe like setting up Yew.rs. I don't know if there's like that much to do with it. It might be just like a one section, one video thing. So like setting up Yew.rs. Let's see. Yew comes with a router, or we can set up a front-end router, so that let's see. Okay, this front-end router, so that we can have, basically it's a SPA, so we don't have to touch the server when navigating pages. State management might be next. Now, if I want to set up something like Yew.rs, then we need to go into Struct-based components, because that's the old. They have a beta for functional components, but you have to go straight to the GitHub repository in your cargo.toml, and I don't like that. So I'm thinking now might be the time to introduce a Struct-based component. And if we do a Struct-based component, okay, so let's do Struct. Struct components. Let's see. We can. Struct components are similar to class-based components in React or Vue. There's not really going to be a difference in styling. Is that true? The styling might be set up inside of Yeah, okay, the styling might be set up inside of what is it? The oh, what am I thinking of? I would be putting the styling into the state of the struct. So this would be storing, I guess, like saving styling struct components. Components. Okay, so styling is pretty much the same. The only real difference is where to store the style sheet. Okay. Properties is the same. So I don't have to do anything with that. Even callbacks is going to be exactly the same. Is that true? Struct components has a context and properties, right? It doesn't have one or the other. You can see how often I use struct-based components. Or is it like context.props? It's not really showing how to consume them. That's just showing how to create them. Oh, the props macro is pretty cool. But that's still not really necessary. Let's see. Properties equals props, which you're not doing anything with here. And I want to grab that. I mean, I used them a long time ago. I do feel like something's changed, but I can't put my finger on what. Are properties inside of context? Okay. Context. I think that's what it is. The context, all component lifecycle methods take a context object. This context provides a reference to component scope, which allows sending messages to a component, and the props passed to the component. Okay. So that's where it is. So styling, okay. So I guess we'll use the context. So this will be receiving receiving properties. So the props are stored in the context object. Then I guess like internal state. So that'll be the same thing with callbacks and optional of those properties. That'll be fine. But then state. So saving state. Let's see. Saving state to in a struct component uses message passing and callbacks, I guess. It doesn't really use callbacks. It's just mostly message passing. Okay, so using state, using effect, so like lifecycle methods. So these methods are available on the impl of the component struct. Caleb, hello. Let's see. Then that would be like use effect, and then use context is the same thing as just context. It's just here. Okay, I think that's everything we need for a struct component, and then that would allow us to now get into state management. Introduction to stores, to like a centralized stores. This will be I guess I'll just call it stores right now. I'm not exactly sure what the best title for it will be. Maybe like centralized stores. A bit early today. Oh, yes. Good point. So yesterday, in America and in probably many other places that do this, we had our time change. So we all got to get a free little bit of jet lag without having to do anything or go anywhere. So now I am in Mountain Daylight Time instead of Mountain Standard Time, which is just 1 hour earlier. So yes, it is. Let's see. On Saturday, it would have been 9:18 at this point in time, and today it is 8:18. So, yay for government mandated jet lag. Yes. Unless you live in a normal state like Arizona, Hawaii, and is it Alaska or something? Yeah, there's like 3 states in the United States that actually don't follow that. Hawaii is one of them. But the rest of us, yeah, we change times like twice a year. We change times. So yes, I now get to wake up in darkness, and but it'll be light until like 9 p.m. So cool. Introduction to centralized stores. Okay, so we have 2 March and October. I always forget it until like suddenly my phone is like, okay, your alarm is an hour earlier today. I'm like, ah, great. Let's see. We have 2 stores, we will be using this this course, bounce, and Yew.rs. You had to go making a game using the canvas and JavaScript. It is nice. Oh, nice. That's great. Yeah, I haven't used the canvas too much. I want to try it again. I tried using canvas in Rust and had a little bit of trouble, but then I was able to like follow some of Peyton Rules, who also streams. He was going to stream today, but his monitor also broke. And he does a lot of game development in Rust, but also web using Canvas. Introduction to centralized stores. Okay, so then we're gonna do like an entire just setting up Yew.rs. So, setting up Yew.rs stores. So Yew.rs is very similar to Redux for state management. And then setting up bounce. Bounce isn't really similar. So like bounce has bounce is the author's choice for functional component stores. Oh, but you know what? When we do something with stores, we kind of need to have some kind of like events to make that interesting. So perhaps before we go into like struct components, after we do the router, we're gonna have to do like an event type thing. So this will be handling events. Let's creating a, let's do like the input, because that's pretty easy for an event, and it sort of like you can actually see the changes. So creating a maybe like a full form. I think a full form will be good. So creating a form creating a form. So handling events. Let's see. I'll be creating a form so that we can explore handling DOM events. You tried making a website too, that was okay, but you think you prefer making a game better. Using the web, you can see instant changes. That's nice too. I mean, like, yeah, using the web, like you can see instant changes definitely with both web and games. And you can put games in your websites. That's always fun. Not that one. Where are you? Creating a form. Okay, so after we create the form, oh, that's what happens. Okay. Oh, nice. Creating a form. So we've created the form now. It exists. I need to create an event. Okay, so adding an event, handling text field events. So let's see. Let's add a event handler to the text field. You want to do it like one early. Then, okay, so handling form submit events. It can be nice to handle, let's see, to handle form submit events rather than just a click listener on buttons. Then the final one would be that's probably going to go into where like the setting a bounce thing is. So we have it like storing inside of those. Oh, maybe what we'll do is put in updating local state with like form data. So when form fields change, we want to store the data in local state and then do something when we submit the form. Okay, so we have that. That's all handling events. Then in Struct components, we're going to want to update and then do that kind of exactly the same thing here. So Struct components, styling, receiving properties, saving state. So this one might be more of like saving handling events here too, because that's going to be the entire message passing thing. Okay, lifecycle methods, that's all good. Then we have setting up Yew.rs and bounce. Okay, so then setting up Yew.rs. Then after that, we're going to be using Yew.rs to store the result of like a form entry. Store a form data. So Yew.rs want to create a form and save its data to the Yew.rs store. Okay. Then set bounce and exactly the same thing. So using bounce to store form data. Okay, and then that'll be like the internal state management. And then we can start moving on to the next stuff. I am unfortunately running out of time now though, because I have work coming up. Let's see. Song is a little heavy for pretzel rocks. Interesting. I have my speakers on like pretty lightly, so I can hear it, but it's like it's light enough that I'm not paying too much attention to it. It was full EDM for a second. Oh man. So let's see. Hello Comics is streaming and is working on making a level editor for their game. Let's go ahead and I don't see anybody that I'm following that's doing Rust stuff right now. Like just a lot of other stuff. All right, well let's go ahead and raid Hello Comics. All right, so everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I know it's like maybe slightly more boring as I'm like figuring out what the courses are going to be. Probably going to do this for tomorrow, maybe one more day, like maybe 1 or 2 more days of this, and then we can start actually like figuring out how like the recording part of it, and actually starting that. The recording will be all done on Twitch. I'll just like keep on doing that, then off stream edit those and put them up onto YouTube. So if you want to watch how the secret courses are made, I guess they're not really secret, then I would love to have you around here. Usually I do like a small recording, take away all of like the UI elements so that you can't tell that it's streaming, and then we'll do like chatting and answering questions in between each recording session. So with that, I hope that you all have a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you next time. Bye.